manners, morals, and ethics, our akhlaq, they are not supposed to be practiced only at times of ease and convenience. Our good manners, our good morals, and our good ethics are not to be practiced solely at times of ease and comfort. No. Rather, the true colors of morality, the true colors of good ethics are shown during moments of hardship. They are shown during moments of adversity, of difficulty, during moments of crisis. Brothers and sisters, some people, they may seem they may seem well-mannered. They may have a polite attitude. They may show and display to you and me shy conduct, as long as they are calm, and as long as the surrounding circumstances around them are convenient and favorable, meaning to them. However, when they are subjected to anger, or when they are subjected to difference of opinion, or if they experience hardship or difficulty or unfortunate conditions or anything of the like, of course, circumstances, they turn into completely different people. Far from the well-mannered people you thought that you knew. And sadly, brothers and sisters, the person you once knew as well-mannered, he has now turned into a bad-tempered person, a fierce person, a verbally abusive person, a harsh, intimidating, and vulgar oppressor. And brothers and sisters, most unfortunately, we see this saddening transformation quite often, especially amongst the Muslims. And we see it to the extent with which someone's character can change, and we recognize that this transformation, this alteration, this drastic change, it is shocking. It is unbelievable. Is this how far our Islamic morality, is this how distant our Islamic ethics has pushed us from our hearts and souls? لماذا تتغير أخلاقنا في المواقف? Why do our manners, why do our morals, why do our ethics change across the situations, different circumstances and situations? It was narrated on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhuma that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ليس المؤمن بالطعان ولا باللعان ولا الفاحش ولا البذيء. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, a believer is neither a slanderer, nor is a believer someone who curses, nor is a believer someone who is obscene, nor is a believer someone who is vulgar. The Maliki scholar Ibn Battal, rahimahullah, he explained. He said, Al-Fahishi ay fa'il al-fuhshu aw qa'ila. That obscene here means the one who is verbally abusive, or he commits obscene actions. Meaning, brothers and sisters, he is indecent in speech and in action. وَالْبَذِيء, he went on to explain, الْفُحْشِ فِي الْقَوْلِ وَهُوَ بَذِيءُ اللِّسَانِ. He said, and vulgar here means to be foul-mouthed. To be foul-mouthed, to be filthy, to be nasty, and to be vile. Brothers and sisters, how is it remotely even possible that any sane Muslim would allow himself to turn into someone who fits such an evil description by the Prophet ﷺ for any single moment, just because of a situation, or just because a word was said, or just because there was a dispute about something or another. We used to think that foolish people were those who were poorly educated, uneducated. We used to think that foolish people were the ones who were ill-mannered, the ones who had sinful qualities. However, brothers and sisters, it is even more shocking to find that many people whom we thought to be as educated fit this description as well. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to protect us from being amongst such people. Say Ameen. The classical scholar Al-Qurtubi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَالْبَذِيءُ اللِّسَانِ يُسَمَّى سَفِيهًا لأنه لا تكاد تتفق البذاءة إلا في جهال الناس وأصحاب العقول الخفيفة. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, a vulgar, foul-mouthed person is described as foolish because vulgarity is only compatible with ignorance and small-mindedness. Someone only who is ignorant, someone who only has a small mind, he is the person that is vulgar. He is the person that is foolish. And some people, brothers and sisters, would argue that their fuhsh, their obscenities, and their bada'a, their vulgarities, they are justified simply by the fact that perhaps they have been angered, or that the situation called for it, or because other people triggered them by their wrong behavior, or that calmness in such situations could be harmful, could be passive, could bring about trouble later on, and so on and so forth. You understand the justifications we have heard and we continue to hear, brothers and sisters. And there is no doubt that this is a mistaken and incorrect way of thinking that can and may very well bring about bad consequences on you. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَإِنِ امْرُؤٌ شَتَمَكَ وَعَيَّرَكَ بِأَمْرٍ لَيْسَ هُوَ فِيكَ فَلَا تُعَيِّرْهُ بِأَمْرٍ هُوَ فِيهِ وَدَعْهُ يَكُونُ وَبَالُهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَجْرُهُ لَكَ وَلَا تَسُبَّنَّ أَحَدًا. He said, and if a man verbally abuses you, he says something, or calls you something, says something you don't like about you, or if he shames you for something in you that he knows about. So the implication here is that what he's saying about you could be correct. It could be right. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not reciprocate. Do not do the same back. Do not shame him. Do not abuse him as he abused you. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us why. He said, let him bear the consequences of what he said. Each and every one of us will stand before Allah for everything we said, everything we did. Let him bear the consequences. But for you, there is reward. For you, there is reward, so do not curse anyone. Meaning, no matter the circumstance, no matter the situation, no matter how badly you are hurt, do not curse anyone. Do not reciprocate. Do not go to their level. Be better than them. Brothers and sisters, the classical scholar Al-Qari rahimahullah ta'ala, he explained. He said, الفحش مذموم كله وليس من أخلاق المؤمنين. He said, obscenity and vulgarity are actions, characteristics that are blameworthy. meaning they cause hurt and harm towards you. To indulge in them is against yourself. And there are qualities that are unbecoming of the believers. The believer, he doesn't indulge in this. He doesn't stoop to the level of the foolish. He's better than them. He's better than them. He rahimahullah went on to say, فَيَنْبَغِي لِمَنْ أَلْهَمَهُ اللَّهُ رُشْدَهُ أَنْ يَجْتَنِبَ الْفُحْشَ وأن يعود لسانه طيب القول وله في رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أسوة حسنة. He went on to say that the believer is the one who is guided by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And because he is guided, he should avoid such obscenities and vulgarities. Because he's a believer, he should avoid doing these ills and these wrongs and evils, and instead he should accustom himself and his tongue to doing good, to speaking politely and good, and to follow the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most noble and excellent of role models. Brothers and sisters, there are also those who use foul, vulgar, and reprehensible words, disrespectful words, dishonorable words, with the lame excuse that they were commonly used by our predecessors, that they were used by the Arab before us. And the classical scholar Al-Mawardi rahimahullah ta'ala, he addressed this claim. He said, وَمِمَّا يَجْرِي مَجْرَى فُحْشِ الْقَوْلِ وَهَجْرِهِ فِي وُجُوبِ اجْتِنَابِهِ وَلُزُومِ تَنَكُّبِهِ مَا كَانَ شَنِيعَ الْبَدِيهَةِ مُسْتَنْكَرَ الظَّاهِرِ وإن كان عاقب التأمل سليما وبعد الكشف والروية مستقيما. He said what falls into the category of vulgarity and foul language in terms of the necessity or the obligation of avoiding it is all what seems disgraceful and disrespectful. So whatever is understood as disgraceful and disrespectful, that is vulgar. That is obscene. That is indecent. That is filthy. And that is what is obliged upon you, required upon you to avoid. It is what is required upon you to stay away from. And he went on to explain, even if it may be good and acceptable after you have sat down and thought about it for a moment. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, we fall into that trap. The hurt and the harm that we go through, the hardship and the difficulty that we were forced, perhaps by others, we sit there and we try to justify. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? And then you somehow find a way to arrive as to why you are justified and why you have the right to be just as filthy and vulgar. And that is wrong. That is wrong. Brothers and sisters, the scholars have said that euphemisms, that polite and indirect terms should be used in all situations, especially when a person would feel ashamed to use direct and plain language. For example, terms like sexual intercourse should be politely referred to as engaging in intimacy, consummation of marriage, cohabitation, and so on and so forth. Terms like urinating and defecating should be politely referred to when it comes to our speech. Understand what I'm saying here. Don't take it out of context. When it comes to the speech of the believer, he masks it with goodness, with politeness, with respect, not putting people in shame, not putting people in uncomfortable situations. So when it comes to those such as those words, you use words like relieving himself, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. Such polite and indirect usage of words may be used as long as there is no need to use the direct and plain language. But try to utilize it as much as you can. This is part of the quality of the believer. He looks to bring goodness to his brother, to the society at large. And that is what is called upon us. But there are some times, brothers and sisters, where we are unable to mask the truth. There are some times where we must say what is right, and there's no pretty way to say it. And in those times, then you find that it is acceptable to utilize that plain and direct language, but like everything else in our deen, it is about the effort that you put forth. The believer, he cares about the process. The believer, he cares about the process. It is not only about the destination. It is not only about the end. He attempts, he puts effort because he knows Allah Ta'ala, He rewards upon the effort. He does not care about the result. He does not care about the result. It is what you put in. If you tried to be nice, if you tried to say good, if you tried to rectify with love, with understanding, with tolerance, that is more rewarding to Allah Ta'ala, more beloved to Allah than for you to come to an end where you have destroyed relationships, where you have destroyed brotherly love, sisterly love. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to protect us from being such people. Say Ameen. Brothers and sisters, the people who used to stick to morality the most, or let me say, the people who need to in this day and age, the people who need to stick to morality the most are the du'at, the callers to Allah. And every one of us, in some way, shape, or form, is a caller to Allah. You are a representative of Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on this earth, in this life, on simply the account that you are a Muslim. You are someone who testified, who declared, who proclaimed that La ilaha illallah. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. You are convicted in a truth. So you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to live that truth, brothers and sisters. You have a responsibility to live that truth. And because of that, brothers and sisters, it is unsuitable, it is incorrect, it is downright wrong for any one of us to act against the moral principles of our faith. And that we should see what our faith teaches us about morality, about good character, about ethics. We should see that manifest in all our situations, regardless of how intense, regardless of how difficult, how hard a certain situation or a certain circumstance may be. Regardless of how evil or how wicked or how vulgar or how filthy someone else may be, you are a Muslim. You are a believer. There is a higher standard that is expected of you. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam even explained just as much. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, whoever believes and Allah in the last day. You've heard this hadith many times. Let him speak good or remain silent. The believer, he only speaks good or he remains silent. He doesn't speak bad. He doesn't speak evil. He doesn't make difficulty and hardship, brothers and sisters. These are the true manners, the true morals, and the unique ethics of the believers. Brothers and sisters, speaking good has many ways of being practiced. And silence could be or could bring about great benefit, especially when no good could be spoken. And it goes without saying, brothers and sisters, that shyness, humility, humbleness, bashfulness, these qualities are at the very core of being a believer. It is at the very core of the morality, the ethics, and the manners, and the values of this Deen al-Islam. When you practice shyness, when you practice bashfulness, when you practice humility and humbleness, understand that you assume complete control of yourself. And you become able to not only restrain, not only prevent, but yes, brothers and sisters, even change your bad morals, your bad ethics. You're not damned to be vile. You're not eternally damned to be vulgar if you're vulgar. You're not eternally damned to be obscene. You have a potential, and you just need to fulfill it. You just need to take that step. Do what you need to do to be better, brothers and sisters. That is why we should be perfectly mindful of practicing such qualities, that shyness, that bashfulness, that humility, that humbleness in our lives. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he said, مَا كَانَ الْحَيَاءُ فِي شَيْءٍ قَطُّ إِلَّا زَانَ وَمَا كَانَ الْفُحْشُ فِي شَيْءٍ قَطُّ إِلَّا شَانَ. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that shyness, bashfulness, humility, humbleness is not to be found in anything, meaning anyone or anything that shyness is found within, meaning is practiced, it adorns it. It beautifies it. It makes it look good. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in obscenity, vulgarity, filth, vileness, nastiness is not to be found in anything except that it makes it ugly, or it makes him or her ugly. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from looking ugly in any way, shape, or form. Say it. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhuma, he said, Al-amu khuluq al-mu'min al-fuhsh. He said, the most wicked quality of the believer is obscenity. Think about that for a moment. Not missing the salah in the masjid. Not going to Baytullah al-Haram. Of all the things he could have said, this is the most wicked deed. He said it is to practice obscenity, to indulge in vulgarity. Because you could pray all the prayers in the world. You could give all the money that you have. You could practice all the good deeds you think you're doing. وَلَا نُقِيمُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَزْنًا. As Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا. Shall we tell you of the person who is the biggest loser in terms of what he did? And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in this verse, He explained This person spent his life working, praying, sadaqah, this, that. But Allah dubbed him a disbeliever. Allah dubbed him a disbeliever. And He said on the Day of Judgment, he will come on that day having done all what he did, and it will not weigh in atom weight. It will not have any weight, brothers and sisters. It will not have any weight. So it's not about the quantitative measures. Allah Ta'ala looks at the qualitative measures in your worship. And that quality comes from your character. It comes from your morals. It comes from your ethics, your manners, brothers and sisters. Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais, rahimahullah ta'ala, although he lived at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he actually never met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, أَوَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِأَدْوَاءِ الدَّاءِ اللسان البذيء والخلق الدنيء. He said, shall I inform you of what the worst diseases are? What the worst disease is? They are obscenities and bad moral character. The worst thing you can have in your heart is bad moral character. According to this wise man, rahimahullah ta'ala, that is the most serious sickness that you could have, that you need to treat. Look at the choice of words he used. They're not physical sicknesses, brothers and sisters. They are sicknesses of the heart. But when utilizing terms in words such as sickness and disease, you understand that the implication, the understanding is, for any sickness that I possess, any sickness that I have, there is a treatment that I need to seek. There is a cure that I need to attain. And if I am bad-mannered, if I am obscene, if I am filthy, if I'm vile, if I am indecent, then I am sick. And I need to cure myself. The classical scholar Al-Qasimi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, كلام المرء بيان فضله وترجمان عقله فاقصره على الجميل واقتصر منه على القليل وإياك وما يستقبح من الكلام فإنه ينفر عنك الكرام ويوثب عليك اللئام. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, that a person's speech, it mirrors his values and the soundness of his mind. Meaning, based on how you speak and what you speak, it says a lot about you. It says a lot about your character. It says a lot about the goodness that could be found in your heart or the lack thereof. It says a lot about how sane you are, meaning how true you are to being a Muslim, or how true you are to being a believer. He went on to say, therefore confine your speech, restrict your speech, restrict what you say to saying what is good, to speaking few words, to speaking a little bit. And he said, beware of bad language, vulgar language, filthy language, as it pushes away honorable people from you. And instead it attracts wicked people. It attracts bad friends. You know, there's a saying in English, birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. What that means is, the way you are, you will attract. You will attract similar or the likes. People like you. So if you are good, know that you will attract good. And if you are bad, know that you will attract bad.